Hey everybody, OCD Mikey, Hi-Fi Guy here. And I know I've been out for a couple of days, but I have been traveling and I'm in Northern California and it has been raining and it's crazy. So excuse me for being off the radar for a little bit, but I am back and I just came to kind of catch up with you guys and tell you what's going on. So first of all, I have to tell you that because I knew I was coming to California to go to Playback Designs, I made it a point to stop in Berkeley, and that's where we're staying right now, in Berkeley, California. Because I know Berkeley is one of the gastronomic centers of the United States. Berkeley, San Francisco, along with New York, probably wraps up every Michelin star, at least, probably the majority of the Michelin stars, I think, are even between East Bay and San Francisco. But let's just say the food here is phenomenal and the competition is fierce. And so even the little places that you go to are fighting tooth and nail to keep their business, to keep people coming back. So even the little food, small little hole in the walls are off the charts here. As evidenced by our first plate, the first thing I wanted to do is take my girlfriend for a California Baja style fish taco. Anybody who's lived in California or is from California knows what, usually it's San Diego where you get these things, and possibly LA, but San Diego is where I was weaned on the fish taco. Usually it's a white flaky fish, battered crispy, and then put in a tortilla with crema and repollo and cilantro, cebolla. Oh my God, it is so delicious. I mean, you can't find it anywhere else. I've looked for it in Miami. I've looked for it in Atlanta. I've looked for it all over, look for fish tacos, and I can never find the same as they do here. And yesterday we had fish tacos that absolutely blew our minds. I inhaled it. I swear to God, as fast, the second I swallowed, I was getting another bite. They were absolutely hit on every point. And today we're going to go back a little later. I will take some photos and I'm going to show you guys these fish tacos, because if you've never had anything like this, they're mind-blowing. We had some sushi last night that reset my reference. And I eat sushi every single week, religious. And I think, and I have some of the best places in Atlanta nailed. And we go to these same places. I know each one for what? One for the size, so that you're going to get a lot. One for the level of the and the uniqueness of the cuts. And man, last night I know shimaji and like all these, I mean that's just one example, but many different types of the sort of unique Japanese type sushi cuts, the nigiri. And last night we had some things, a blue sweet shrimp, io-ebi. And it's a blue sweet shrimp, which I'd never had before. That was delicious. We had something called hirame. It was a thin strip he showed us. And you get like 4 cuts out of each fish, and that's all. And he took it, hit it with like the torch, like the creme brulee torch, just so it like curled up a little bit and it rendered the fat. And it was so fantastic. And then something, the saba, which is mackerel. I love saba. Big John and I eat saba all the time. And that's about how it's pickled. You know, they kind of put like a little vinegar and stuff, and they kind of cure it that way. But this is fresh mackerel called goma saba. So goma meaning sesame, goma saba. And it was so soft and buttery and creamy, and I've never had saba like that. I mean, mackerel is normally a fishy kind of a oily fish, right? And this thing was absolutely mind-bending. I never knew mackerel would taste like that. We got one piece of bluefin from Japan that was phenomenal, and then we got another thing that was just amazing taste. We didn't even dip it. In other words, normally you put your little dish and you put some wasabi in there and you dip your nigiri. He said, don't do that. I'm going to present everything to you and I'm going to brush a little soy on the top of it. And you just eat it. Don't dip it. So we didn't dip anything. We just ate it the way they came. And I'm telling you, this is the best stuff. I mean, it reset my reference. Today we had Saul's and had some of the best Jewish deli Like, oh my God, it was fabulous. Tomorrow we're going back. We're gonna have to go back. I couldn't. There were so many things on the menu I wanted. We had to go back. I had chopped liver today, which was phenomenal, and rye. And we had this breakfast dish that was built on like a flatbread thing that was crisped. So it was like a flaky, almost like a croissant, but it was a round thing, like I want to say Lebanese, but it wasn't Lebanese flatbread, but one of those kind of flatbread things with sautéed greens and then and over medium eggs on top, 2 over mediums. Kamado sushi. Thank you, Joe, my lovely brains of the outfit female. Showed me it was Kamado sushi on Shattuck. So if you're in Berkeley, go to Kamado, talk to Jin, okay, who is the sushi chef there, and get omakase. And it is, forget about it. Unless you are super seasoned. And look, I've had sushi in Japan, and this stuff blew my mind. So anyway, so that was good. So enough talk tonight. It's Chez Panisse. We're going to go there and try the cafe upstairs. And so this is what I do. I love to do this as well as hi-fi. And don't even get me started. I'm buying a Ducati when I come back. I'll be talking all about the Ducati 1260 Pikes Peak that I'm buying. The rides, Big John got a Ducati and 1200 Enduro. And my brother has a Ducati 1200 from like 2012. Mine will be Big John's is 2016, and mine will be a 2019. Anyways, so we'll go on. I mean, OCD Mikey, hi-fi guy, almost doesn't do me justice. I almost need to make myself OCD guy, so that I can talk to you guys about a breadth of different things that I'm into, because hi-fi is one part. It's how I make my money, and it's what I'm into as a great hobby. But I also love to do other things, and so it'd be fun to talk about all the different things, with you guys, which I end up doing anyways with my customers that become friends. We end up having excellent dinners and just discussions about all sorts of stuff. So anyways, wanted to bring you up to speed on what's going on here. We're in Berkeley. We're waiting out this torrential downpour. It's record rains in California right now. I used to live here, and what's happening now, I've never seen anything like it. The people here have never seen. We had freaking hail in Berkeley yesterday. Just the people are so interesting. There's so much art and culture here. It's just like anybody you stop on the street and you talk to. There's a lot of old folks here too, which is kind of nice, The restaurants that we're going into and where we're going, I'm seeing a lot of old folks. And if you have a place where old folks are still walking around in the streets and they're still here, that means they've been here a long time. There must be something good about the place, because old people don't hang around in places that suck, right? They take off. They go somewhere where they know lifestyle is better. And it's you could pull over anybody on the street and ask them, and everybody's going to have some sort of cool story. So I love to ask the people a little bit about, I get chatty like I'm doing right now. I get into that with people, and we start talking, and then we find common ground. And this guy that was the author that did the Tolkien type house, I mean, you should have seen this thing. He had it in his mind. He gave it to an architect friend of his, and he built this mini house in back with a slate roof and a little round turret on the side. It has a bookshelf that's a fake bookshelf that's really a doorway into the turret inside. All hand cut beams, like hand marked, like he had it purposely made to appear hand done. None of the lines are straight on it. They're all kind of curvy or bendy or whatever. It's just to be able to have that in your mind and then build it. And I can't even imagine what that would cost now. And he just did it in his backyard as his studio for where he can get motivated and do art and write stuff and whatever. A fantastic guy. He wrote some books about Paris. He lived in Paris for 7 years. Just these people are super interesting. So I'm really digging if you look at Berkeley on the surface, you don't get it. You need to go a little deeper. But when you reveal those top layers, what's underneath is deep. And what's underneath, there's a lot of history here. There's a lot of history. The hippie rebellion started here in People's Park in, I think it must have been 65. I don't know the exact years. Maybe it was a little later. but the protests for Vietnam and all the stuff. There's a lot of political stuff that happened here. Having a great time here. Vegas, I really just don't vibe with the vibe in Vegas. We were there for 3 days. After 3 days, I have to get the hell out of there. I can't take it anymore. It's really like how I feel about Vegas, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody who lives there, but I feel like it's kind of like a depraved place that has a wicked kingdom built on top of it, where they're raking billions. This is what I heard from somebody that I met there who kind of he does promotion there, and he's tied in with the business there. And he said they're doing over $1 billion record profits for the casinos there, the gaming industry, over $1 billion per month there. And so you really feel it. It's complete gougery. Anything you buy there, just taking Uber cars around is ridiculous. It is just, it doesn't have, there's nothing wholesome. There is nothing redeeming. There is nothing. I guess the redeeming thing could be good food and some good shows. We had the best hot chocolate we've ever had with a chocolatier that was in the lobby of the Venetian. The chocolatier was a San Francisco chocolatier, however, but this hot chocolate was mind-bending. I never had anything. It wasn't just hot chocolate. It had other hints and notes of, I don't know what it was, herbal. I don't know what was in it, but it was incredible, absolutely incredible. We had decent food there, not world class, nothing like here in Berkeley. So we wanted to get out. I don't drink, I don't gamble, I don't do hookers and blow. So it's like, why do I even want to be to Vegas? I don't really want to be there. The only reason I go there is out of necessity. And as you heard, I was asked to go there to meet with a semiconductor manufacturer to represent the audio industry, so that they have somebody, because they don't know anything about audio in the semiconductor industry. They just know how to make things that are good for automotive and for charging phones and whatever, all that kind of stuff. But audio is such a little segment that they don't pay attention to it. So they don't know anything about it. So they need somebody on their team or somebody there that they can ask questions about when audio comes up. When audio clients come in to look at their GAN devices, they need to refer to somebody and ask them about audio. And so that's why I was there. I was there to be their person that they would ask about our industry. And I was there and was able to answer some questions. And then when they brought in the audio clients, I knew what to ask the audio manufacturers that they didn't quite know what to ask. They also asked me, like certain technologies, they asked, should we put this capability into our product? And I was able to help them through some decisions that they made there about whether or not they would put certain technologies into their technology. And some just didn't make sense. It sounds good on the outside, but when you really tear it apart, you're like, it kind of really doesn't make sense because of these downfalls and blah, blah, blah. So it was nice to be there and operating at that high a level. And it's very interesting. Even their chips are not made in China. And you would be surprised on a global level who is cutting China out of the supply chain. One is a trillion dollar company in the United States. So there's only a couple of those working on extremely cutting edge tech, and they are ready to cut China completely out of the supply chain, completely. So I'm not that crazy when I'm drawing my line at Hi-Fi. These people are drawing their line in the trillions on a global level and taking China out of the supply chain. So we'll be meeting Andreas and grabbing an SPA8 amplifier, which was created to be the best amplifier ever made in the world. That's what they were going after. They paid no attention to size and cost. Well, they did somewhat to cost, because anything that was a complete waste of money, they didn't do. But it is an $80,000 amplifier that will absolutely, well, I haven't had a Boulder, but the guy who bought this amp used to have Boulders. So when I put this in, we'll ask him how it compares to his Boulder. I think he said 960s or something. I have to find out. But he doesn't have, he sold the boulders, and this thing's coming in. So the boulders, if they're the boulders like Jay has, they're 165 a piece, and the preamp is 165. Well, this guy's putting in something that is half the price, and I think will throttle a boulder. Just looking, I had some electrical engineers look at the specifications of the SPA8 versus the boulder, and were just like, they'd never seen specs the way that this Playback Designs amp has. So I'm really looking forward. It's going to go into a system that has an SPA8 amplifier, an MPT transport, MPT8 by Playback Designs, and an MPD8 by Playback Designs. So he's got the top level DAC, the top level transport, and the top level amplifier. They only make one amp, and it's this big statement amplifier. So those three pieces teamed up with some JBL synthesis speakers, the top of the line JBLs. So this will be quite a system, and I will be making a video about it, and it should be stupendous. There's one more of these amplifiers that I have, and that will be it. To make another run will be like a year away and a different price, because the world has gone to hell in a handbasket as far as the chip supply chain is concerned. It's even putting stress on our MPD8 DACs and our MPD6 DACs, because the supply stopped, and now what's left is in the hands of Chinese scalpers, and chips that used to be $25 are now being scalped out of China for $800. So it's absolutely ridiculous. So they won't, unless that amp goes up $5,000, it doesn't make any sense. What happens is when you make a chip, okay, and you make 1 million chip, 10 million chips, whatever, you make a high volume, they have to meet specification. When there's that many chips, there are going to be rejects, okay? Those rejects are set aside, okay? And what happens is those rejected chips don't always get thrown out and reprocessed or recycled or whatever they do with them. They actually make it into the black market, and they are hawked, and now they're being sold back to us. I had one of my manufacturers that told me they got a reel of chips. They come on reels with little pop things so machines can insert them. And they noticed, they were looking with magnifying glass to check it out because they wanted to make sure that these were legit. And the date codes were different. Normally, a whole reel, all the date codes are going to be the same. They started noticing date codes that were different. They thought, that's odd. They looked closer. They could see solder on the pins of residue of solder on the pins of the chips, which mean they had been taken out of something, okay, and they were used. And they had packaged them back as if they were new. And this is stuff coming from China. So this is the kind of crap that's going on, and why people are pulling out of the supply chain with them. So, and unfortunately, we're left with the fallout from that. And so a lot of these components, man, that take these special chips, that take these really good chips, you just can't get the chips anymore unless you want to pay $700, $800 of chip, for these things that were $25 normally. So, this might be a slow year moving forward in the digital domain. And I learned a lot about GaN. I actually learned more than I can talk about. All I would say to you guys is be very careful who you buy your gallium nitride amplifiers from, because there are designs out there with integrity, and there are designs out there, just like usual, that have no integrity. And the cheap stuff is usually the stuff that doesn't have the integrity. And when I say cheap, I'm talking about like amps that are $3,000 and less, okay? Those are not going to be the GaN amps that you want to buy. These people are trying to profit on the word GaN, gallium nitride, and they're rushing stuff out into the marketplace when there's only 2 companies that I know of that make GaN. There's only one company that I know that currently makes GaN worth of shit, and then there's another one that's coming into it that has another patented part of the puzzle that will make for a very good amplifier that will do things that presently has never been done. So I will talk more about that stuff later. I'm not at liberty to talk about it right now, but that's a teaser for you guys to come back and stay tuned, because there's some pretty exciting stuff coming up. So just wanted to check in with you guys. I know it's been a while, and thanks for joining. See you.